Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sports 24/7. Hi, Pranav, how are you doing?
Hello Abhishek. Yeah, it's been a while actually, more than a couple of months. We have not done any video. So today is, I think, auspicious day for us to do this video.
Yes, absolutely. Auspicious is the right day, right word to use rather, because it is the 49th birthday of Mr. Sachin Tendulkar, who we have looked up to, and we have been. It will be wrong to say that we have been a fan, because I think we are much more than a
Yeah.
fan when it comes to Sachin Tendulkar. So let's discuss his career, his cricketing journey, and in general a few other things about his life. To start with, Pranav, it's as if he was born to play cricket, because since a very young age of maybe 8 or 9 years old or 10 years old, he's been practicing cricket in the Maidans of Mumbai. And it all started really when his brother Ajit, he took him to meet Achrekar sir, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Abhishek, in fact, Ajit has written one book. I don't quite remember the name of that book, but that actually book it covers Sachin's life from 1973 to his first Test match against Pakistan in 1989. So he has written in great depth what Sachin did in those 13, 14 years regarding the Sharada Ashram school, regarding he used to play in his own apartment, the famous Sahitya Sahwas, and meeting with Vinod Kamli, then the marathon 600 run plus partnership with Vinod Kamli, all the Ramakant Achrekar sir's teachings. He has written in great depth in that book. And I tell all our viewers to just Google, I don't quite remember the name, but you just Google it and you can actually order that book and read it. It's worth reading.
Yes, absolutely. Because most of the times we know about his how many hundreds he has scored, when he played against which opposition and all that. But the journey, like when it all began, was something which people don't know in so many details. Like,
Yeah.
of course, Sachin has shared a lot of things in his interviews, like how Achrekar sir was very strict, and they used to travel on a scooter all around Dadar and
Yes.
all those Maidans and in Mumbai. So yes, but also people say that Sachin was like he has a God-given talent or great gift and all that. Yes, that is true. Like, you need some basic talent to play at the highest level, but the practice which has happened behind the scenes, like not only in the nets but the match practice, so many matches he has played before he played his first test match, or before he played Ranji Trophy, even all the school cricket, and that I think really helped him to get into that zone of the match temperament, what we say. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Abhishek. You made a very correct point. So Sachin used to, visualize that the fast bowlers are bowling to him, and how he would play. If a fast bowler would bowl a bumper, then how he would either play it, duck it, or hook it. In fact, the selectors were thinking of selecting Sachin for the West Indies tour in 1989. But Raj Singh Dungarpur, who was I think he was the chairman of selectors, he decided not to select during West Indies tour because of the scary bowlers and the scary pitches there. Saurav Ganguly, in fact, in many of his interviews, has told that Sachin used to visualize the bowlers in front of a mirror in midnight. He told that on most of the occasions, Sachin used to be his room partner in the famous Australia 1992 series, and before and after that also. So I think the one of the main factors of his success was visualization. He visualized all the great spinners and fast bowlers bowling to him, and he accordingly made a plan in mind.
And Raj Singh Dungarpur, the late Raj Singh Dungarpur, he passed away a few years back. But
Yeah.
at that time, he had said in one of the interviews as well that there was a discussion going on in the selection committee, and everybody was saying like Sachin is so young, and for this is I'm talking about Pakistan, before the Pakistan tour when he got
Yeah.
selected. Sachin is young, and what if he fails? Like, his confidence will be shaken. And Raj Singh Dungarpur, he walked into this meeting and he said that what is this discussion which you're having? Sachin Tendulkar does not fail. That's what he said. So even at such a young age, these selectors had seen him play so much that they had confidence in him, and they selected him, and the rest is history, as they say. So in his first tour, first couple of test matches, I think he wasn't quite so successful, but then he scored a half century against very good fast bowling attack, especially Waqar, Wasim, and Imran Khan. Plus, they had Abdul Qadir as well, I think, leg spinner. And then his journey started. The early part of his journey, like 89 to 95, 96. That time, India used to play less Test cricket, so there were very few opportunities. In between, he played county as well for Yorkshire. I think he was the first international player to
Yeah.
play for Yorkshire. He wasn't even 18 then. So the first century in England and a couple of centuries in Australia. How do you think? I think he made his mark with those centuries, I think.
Absolutely. I did not have the privilege of seeing those matches live, but I don't know how many times I have seen them, all those 300s in Manchester, in Sydney, and in Perth on YouTube. So Richie Beno actually, he told in one of his interviews that after he seeing the Sydney century, he thought that this guy would, he wasn't even 18, 19 at that time. But at that time itself, Richie Beno thought that Sachin would match Bradman's level. He has mentioned that in one of his interviews.
Yes, and even Ian Chappell, who's another
Yeah.
Australian great and cricket expert commentator, he had also said that he rates the inning in Perth especially, because he said that Australian domestic cricketers from other states like
Yes.
Victoria, New South Wales, when they go to Perth and play there for the first time, even they take a couple of matches, 2-3 matches to get used to the extra bounce. But Sachin playing there, I think for the first time in his life, he adjusted so well. I think. Craig McDermott was there,
Correct.
fast bowler. Then a couple of other good bowlers. Merv Hughes was there. So that was his initial stages. And of course, in Sydney against the great Shane Warne, who made his debut. Uh, I mean, God rest his soul in peace. We should do another video about Warne because he deserves,
Absolutely.
he deserves that. So yes, Sachin's early journey. I remember in '94 he started opening Sachin in one-day cricket, and he played a like a blasting innings against New Zealand, some 40 odd balls, 80 something
Yeah.
inning, and that was really like where his one-day career took off. And this brings us to the next stage of his career, which I feel that it was his best phase from 96 to 2003, where I think he was at the top of his game. He also became a little bit mature. He captained the side in a couple of stints, but that Sachin Tendulkar is really something. 96 World Cup to 2003 World Cup. How do you analyze that?
Well, I think that was, you correctly pointed out, 94 to 2003, maybe that was the probably the best phase of his life. I don't think any sports person is at the peak for so long, with a few exceptions, of course. So I think he averaged close to 60, or in fact more than that, in that period of 8 to 9 years. And yeah, you take the name of any bowler, any country, he dominated everybody. Be it Glenn McGrath, be it Shane Warne, be it the Pakistani fast bowlers, Shoaib Akhtar, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus. You take the name of every bowler. Yes, he got dismissed a few times by those bowlers, but he actually registered that in his memory, and next time when he came to bat, he literally dominated and thrashed the opposition. So I I think if I had the privilege of seeing live Tendulkar between 94 to 2003, I don't think I would have commented that anybody would has even close to him.
Yes, absolutely. But during those years, especially, he was without doubt the greatest batsman in the world. Yes, Brian Lara was also there. Ricky
Yeah.
Ponting was also coming up and establishing himself. But Sachin was just batting at another level. And what you said, like, you used to remember, about certain bowlers. Classic example I remember is in an ODI in Sharjah. He was bounced out by Henry Olonga. Like he was surprised by the bouncer, and it went up into the air, and he was caught. And the next match against Zimbabwe, the way Sachin approached against Olonga, that was something to behold. Of course, those twin centuries in Sharjah, watching them live as a 10-year-old, I can never forget the way he dominated. And he was like, I can feel Sachin's frustration during those years because the rest of his teammates weren't, on the same level, obviously, as him. and he used to, as a captain, expect everybody to perform at the best and highest level, and sometimes he used to be disappointed. Like the qualifying match in Sharjah, we needed less than the runner ball, but the rest of the batsmen
Yeah.
couldn't even get those runs. But we did qualify, and in the final, Sachin, he was like, "That's it. I'm not going to leave it to anyone else," and he almost got us home by scoring another century. So yes, that was the best phase, until 2003 World Cup. And then unfortunately after that, a few months after that, he got injured. The tennis elbow and all those issues started to come up, and everybody was like, his career is over. And he was 30 at that time, so he was getting on in age as well. And but he did make a great comeback. But couple of controversies happened during those times. I think 2001 South Africa series, that whole ball tampering issue. So how do you think he handled that?
Yes, I have read his autobiography, Abhishek, playing it my way. In that, he has actually described that incident. The outfield was actually a bit damp on that occasion, and all the grass it had stuck on the seam of that ball. So he was just removing that grass, and actually it got caught in the camera, and umpire also saw it. And I think Sachin was handed a 3 or 4 match ban, if I'm not wrong. But later BCCI appealed, and there was a meeting after which his ban was uplifted. So he also has told that it was also his mistake. He admitted his mistake, that he did not take consultation of umpire to just take that grass away from the seam. But yeah, it is a controversy which will remain with him. We actually don't know whether he is 100% right or 100% wrong. But yeah, this will remain with him. In a span of 24 years, it's okay to have one controversy, I feel.
Yes, and as you said that he admitted that whenever you are doing something to the ball, you have to tell the umpire,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm cleaning it, so that the umpire knows what's happening. That's why the ball is always with the umpire. Even after every over, every wicket, you have to return the ball to the umpire so that there is no tampering. Yes, and apart from that, that whole Test match was shrouded in controversy. Yeah, 6 or 7 Indian players were banned for
Yeah.
excessive appealing and so on. Saurav Ganguly, being the captain, he was also held responsible. But later on, that controversy was handled by the BCCI along with ICC, and the last Test match was like not given official status of official Test
Hmm.
match. But anyways, like, he rode through that, and during his career as well, he really hasn't spoken out too much against these controversies or against this criticism which was happening outside. uh, Another thing is his captaincy. Now everybody says, or a lot of people have said, that Sachin wasn't a good captain. But I've always felt and maintained and listened to some of the great captains, that they say the captain is always as good as his team. And Sachin, he did not have a bad team, but he did not have a great match winning team as well. Saurav and Rahul and Lakshman, they were just coming into international cricket. They took some time to establish themselves. Our bowling attack was also not the best in the world. So how do you see his stints? Even as a captain, I must say that his batting did not get affected at all. Like, he was still at the peak of his game as a batsman, but he was a little bit disappointed as a captain.
Yes, true, Abhishek. I think as a captain, he was as aggressive as he was during his batting. In his autobiography, he has written that he did not get the team which he wanted. He did not get the players which he wanted, and actually that affected his captaincy, is what he has mentioned. But again, those players were international players representing India, so I don't see this as an excuse that uh, we have to accept the fact that Sachin does not boast a good record of captaincy. I think he has only won 24 out of 72 games, if I'm not wrong, as a captain. So it was a right decision by him to hand over the captaincy to Ganguly and play under his captaincy.
And also during Sachin's captaincy, there were a couple of tough tours, like the 99 tour to
Yeah.
Australia, where we lost 3-0. Again, Sachin's performance with the bat was quite good, but the rest of the team was not able to, fight against the Aussies. Then even against South Africa, I think in '97 or so, he had a partnership with Azharuddin. I think that famous
Yes,
partnership where they scored at at a great strike rate. But again, we were not able to somehow win a test match or win a series abroad. And so yes, we struggled. And then at the end of the day, like when he left the captaincy for the second time, he did not wish to become captain again. And then Saurav was I think Azharuddin became captain again, but then
yeah,
in 2000 Saurav Ganguly took over from Azharuddin. Anyway, so yes, so the tennis elbow injury, he made a comeback from that injury, and after that he played 9 years more international cricket. And this second coming of Sachin, as they say, especially from 2006-7 onwards until 2011, I thought this was an incredible period of his career as well. Uh, Not comparable to the 90s Sachin, but still to come back and at the age of 34, 35, 37 to play that level of cricket against younger bowlers who are at their peak. How do you see that period, and which are the highlights of that period for you?
absolutely. Spot on, Abhishek. Actually, I think he scored 16 test centuries after his tennis elbow, which is quite an achievement in itself. Yes, the day before yesterday, I was watching one of his innings on YouTube, which I actually watched it live as well. It was a one-day match between India and Australia. He scored 175 runs, while chasing a target of 350. And I
In
think he
Hyderabad,
was
I think.
in Hyderabad, yes. And he was, I think, 36 at that time. And the way in which he was dominating the bowlers, I felt he was batting in a different zone, in maybe in 97, 98 zone. Unfortunately, India lost that match by 3 runs. But I think the level which he brought after his tennis elbow injury was as good as his earlier level. Yes, he was not the same Sachin Tendulkar, but definitely he adjusted his game. He modified. He took a lighter bat which could suit his injury and his elbow, and he literally stamped his authority on even top bowlers like Stein and Anderson.
Yes, and the difference, like from the technical aspect, which I felt from the 90s Sachin, where he used to charge the fast bowlers
Yeah.
and look to dominate them and hit them straight. But in the latter half of his career, he became a bit more mature, and he
Yes.
developed that ram shot where he used to play that short ball, to find third man. And then
Yeah.
he developed a couple of other shots, on the leg side where he could use the pace of the bowler, and he did not like force the issue but rather use the pace and more on timing. So he became a bit mature. His strike rate was still quite good actually, but the way in which he got his runs was different. So that's why, like for people like us who have seen the 90s Sachin, they always feel like coming down the track and hitting the bowlers, taking those risks early on. But later he had the responsibility, of the team of staying for a considerable amount of time on the pitch. So and he also had Sehwag with him who could do what he used to do. So he
Yeah.
did not need to do that. Some of the notable performances, yes, as you mentioned, Hyderabad, then CB Series 100
Yes.
in 2008, and the second final he got a 91 as well. So that was like his first Test 100, first ODI 100 in Australia. Then a lot of good Test innings. We'll come to that. In one dayers, I think in 2007 we played in Ireland against South Africa in tough conditions. Even Sachin played well over there. So a lot of things. Another aspect which we haven't spoken about is Sachin in World Cups. Sachin somehow, I don't know what happened, what was the relationship between him and World Cup. But whenever World Cup came, right from 92 to 2011, Sachin was always at the top of his game. 2003 Man of the Series, 96 World Cup, some of his batting was just incredible. 99 was also not bad, and 2011 at the age of 38, he was
Yeah.
still scoring. He scored 200s, 85 in the semi-final, 50 in the quarterfinal. So he had something with the World Cup. He just raised his game, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Because honestly, Abhishek, before 2003, there was nobody else who we could rely upon except Sachin. And I still remember that SCG game versus Pakistan, where he scored 54 runs and had a great partnership with Kapil Dev. And he also took one wicket, I think. And he was the man of the match in that game. And 96 World Cup
Yes, Amir
also
Sohail
Amir Sohail,
caught
yeah.
at short mid wicket by Shrikant. I think I have seen the
Yes, yes,
highlights so many
yeah,
times of that match.
yes, correct. And in 96 World Cup also, he thrashed Magra like a schoolboy. If you just see his innings at one KD, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah,
he literally thrashed Magra and won out of the park. Uh, but the innings which I clearly remember watching live was the 2003 World Cup innings versus Pakistan. So I clearly remember Shoaib Akhtar being pissed off after being hit by Sachin for I think four boundaries and a six in a single over. And unfortunately, he did not get a century, but his 75 balls, 98 turned to be a match winner for us.
absolutely. That inning in at Centurion, I think that was
Yeah,
a master class of batting. Like, you can pick out that inning and watch it so many times again. Some of the shots which he played in that inning, that was just pure batting. Like he was in some other zone that day, and yes, he did not get 100, but according to me, that's his best one-day inning because it came against a good opposition at a critical time in the World Cup. So all these factors also come in. And again, in 2011, I said at the age of 38, score hundreds against England and South Africa, and then again crucial innings in quarterfinal and semi-final. So he was still contributing. So it was not like he's in the team just because he's Sachin Tendulkar. He was contributing to the team's victory, obviously. And yes, his lifelong dream of winning the World Cup. So that was a great moment in itself.
yeah.
And
Even
yes,
even in that World Cup, he had great hundreds against England and South Africa.
yes.
I actually saw his South Africa century, and it was a masterclass. Stain, Morkel, they are all Callis. They all had excellent bowlers, but he still dominated them.
Yes, I can't forget. In the later part of his innings, he was dominating Dale Steyn. Like he was
Yeah,
shuffling outside off stump, and he was flicking him through square leg and mid wicket as if
yeah,
he's a spinner. So even Steyn couldn't believe it because he was at the peak of his career, fast. He had everything. All his skills were at the top of their top as they've ever been. Like he was the greatest at that time, Dale Steyn. Even against England, I saw him dominate Graham Swan, who was at a peak. He hit a couple of sixes
yeah,
against Swan, and when I noticed this thing about Sachin, like when he decided to hit a six, like when he wanted to hit a six, most of the times he converted. Like he did not get out too many times and caught at long on, long off. So when he hit it, it went for six. For a small man, that was also an achievement. Which brings us to his fitness. Like we haven't discussed about that. To play 24 years with few injuries, of course, he had a back injury which used to reoccur, and tennis elbow and all that. But you know, for someone who's 37 in 2010 to score 200 runs in an ODI, so basically batted from ball one to the last ball of the 50th over, we scored 400. So he ran his own runs, his other partners' runs, plus to get 200 runs. That was to me an incredible feat. What do you think about his fitness?
absolutely. Actually, he is a foodie, Abhishek, and he eats whatever he wants. He's not like the modern day players that they want specific proteins or specific shakes or like that. But still, he manages everything because he worked hard in nets, he worked hard in gyms, and he really worked his backside off for his fitness, and that actually separates him from the rest. The longevity is quite incredible. I don't think anybody can even come close to that.
Yes, it's very difficult, to play 24 years because you have to make your debut really young. And Sachin actually made his debut at a really young age, like 16 years and whatever days. So just an incredible feat. Coming to another aspect of his cricket, which is understated or is not discussed, which you pointed out to me, is his bowling. Now, as a batsman, we know his records, his runs, his centuries, and all that. But his bowling, he was again, it's as if he could do everything in cricket. Like he bowled leg spin, and when I say leg spin, he actually turned the ball a long way,
Yeah,
much more than a few of the leg spinners in the Indian team at that time. Then he had a great googly. Who can forget, Shane Warne getting googled out by Sachin in the famous Eden Test, the second inning, and also he bowled medium pace, more at earlier part of his career. So I remember a few incredible wickets which Sachin has taken. So what do you think about his bowling?
Abhishek, to me, he was a proper fifth bowler, if you ask me. But no captain utilized him to up to his mark. Yeah, you take anyone from Azharuddin till Dhoni, including Sachin himself. They did not utilize Sachin properly in terms of bowling. I think he has 201 international wickets to his name. He could easily had 200 more if he had been properly utilized. I still remember Brian Lara and Inzamam ul Haq, the great batsmen. They getting out to him quite a frequent number of times to Sachin in one day cricket, especially. And yes, as you correctly pointed out, the Eden Gardens. The Eden Gardens is famous for Ganguly, sorry, not Ganguly, for
Previous.
Lakshman and Dravid partnership. But hardly anybody remembers that Sachin took three crucial wickets
Yes.
on the last day in the final session, and
Yes.
those three were Gilchrist, Hayden, and Shane Warne. So
Yes.
uh, I also remember one test match in Adelaide where he took Steve Waugh and Damian Martin
Crucial.
caught Rahul Dravid, and
Yes.
he actually helped India win that test match. So he was a
Yes.
pretty underrated and neglected bowler, unfortunately, and I think he deserved a 200 more wickets to his kitty.
Yeah, he took a fifer against Australia in Kochi, I think,
Yeah,
in an ODI where we won that match. And I remember the famous Moin Khan dismissal where
yeah,
he bowled a googly and bowled him between his legs. So that was, and the pure joy which you saw on Sachin's celebration just goes to show that how much he enjoyed the game. Like it doesn't matter batting or bowling, he enjoyed bowling, even his fielding. Like in the earlier part of his career, he was a very good slip fielder. In the second part of his career also, he was fielding for a while in first slip, and wherever he fielded in the deep as well, he was a very safe catcher. And his throw, like he had a really strong
yeah,
arm, and he had a rocket throw from the boundary. So that, he was a complete player in that sense. His bowling, as you said, Steve Waugh, he has himself mentioned that Steve Waugh is his favorite wicket. I think from the Sydney Test, Rahul Dravid took a couple of very good catches at slip, and that turned the game in our favor. And then, of course, Ajit Agarkar took 6 wickets and all that. So yes, Sachin's career has been fantastic. Even after his retirement, he's been involved in the game and helping out youngsters and a little bit of coaching, a little bit of media work. So he's been in touch with the game. And now the most difficult part of this discussion, which is we have to pick out our favorite Sachin innings, and it's very difficult because he has scored 100 hundreds, and your favorite innings of Sachin doesn't have to be his 100. It could be a 90, like against Pakistan. So let's start with your top five or top three ODI innings which Sachin has played.
yes. So I'll start with ODI innings. So first is clearly the 2009 ODI against Australia, where he scored 175, and he literally smashed their off spinner Nathan Horridge. I think he hit 4 or 5 sixes to him. So that is, I think, number one for me in terms of his ODIs. And as I mentioned earlier, the couple of hundreds in World Cup 2011 and the 98 against Pakistan, because I have seen these matches live. Yes, I have seen his Desert Storms, but I have seen it on YouTube. So I consider the World Cup innings against Pakistan, South Africa, and England, and the match against Australia as his best ODI innings. And if you ask me about Test innings, I don't want to mention any centuries of his. I just want to remember his 73 against Australia in his first Test against MCG in his last tour of Australia 2011, where he actually came just 10 minutes prior to the tea break, and he was struggling even against Mike Hussey. But after tea, I don't know what happened to him. He just scored 70 all 73 runs in a matter of, I think, 1.5 hours. He scored those 73 runs in 90 balls, and that was probably the purest batting which I have seen till date. And I urge all our viewers to just watch that innings on YouTube. It has I think more than 1 million views. That 73, and that 73 was, to me, it was worth a 150. So that it was a pure joy to watch his uppercuts, his flicks, and his attack on Peter Siddle especially.
I think that was Mitchell Stark's first series as
Yeah,
well, if I'm not
probably,
wrong.
probably.
And
Yeah.
he got Sachin out a couple of times. This was at the MCG, right? This
Yes, yes,
73
yes.
was, I think, at the MCG. Yes, I remember watching it live as well. And he was batting well in that series as well. He got 50s and he was not able to get 100. But the rest of the batsmen were not really contributing. But talking about his test innings, how about a few important innings? Of course, he played well on every tour. He got one or two hundreds, but when the hundreds came at a critical time for the team, like in 2008, when he got that 100 against England in Chennai while
Yeah.
chasing in the fourth innings, then the 100 in 99 against Pakistan, I remember watching it live, and we lost 5 wickets. Then he had a partnership with Nayan Mongia, and he got out to a Saklin Dusra when we needed only 17 runs,
Yeah.
and the last 4 wickets, they were not even able to get 17 runs. So that was our frustration at that time with the Indian team. But yes, that was a great inning. Then in 2010-11 South Africa, at the age of
Yeah.
37 again, Dale Steyn and Mone Markle, steaming in. I think he got 200s
200s. Yes,
in
yes.
that test series of 3 matches. So that was again incredible. Then again in India in 2010, I think against Australia, he again got 100. So that was like in the latter part of his career, as you mentioned, those 15, 1600s which he scored. That was incredible. He saved one game against Sri Lanka. I remember he got a double century against Malinga, Suraj Randeep, Muralidharan in 2010 when Raina, got his first
Yeah.
Test 100.
Yes, yes.
That
I
was
think we won that game, Abhishek.
that game
Probably.
we saved, and then the last Test we won when Lakshman scored a 100 in the last inning chasing. So that series
Okay.
was 1-1. Yeah, we had lost the first Test. So these are some of his innings. Of course, in the 90s he dominated, as you said. Trinidad 117 in 2002, where we won
2000.
the
Yeah.
first Test after a long time abroad. I think, yeah, after 35 years, we must have won in the West Indies against Brian Lara's team. So yes, these are the few. And one day, I think my favorites are also pretty much the same as yours. Desert Storm, watching it live. So that was obviously the way he hit Michael Kasprovic, especially. Can never forget that straight six and Tony Gregg's
Tony Gregg's
commentary.
commentary.
Yeah, so that was a moment. Then 2003 World Cup, even Sri Lanka against Pakistan, he was just at his peak. Then 96 World Cup, I remember against Sri Lanka, he had also, I think, got 100
Yeah.
before the semi-final
130
in the,
odd.
in, in
130
the
odd he
league
had
match.
got.
Yes, in the league match. So that was also pure inning. Of course, good pitch, but they had good spinners, so he batted well. These are few innings against Australia CB series. Under pressure, India and not having won those kind of series in Australia. So again, we're doing that against them. And in India, he has played many, like the 200, of course. Then again 175 in the losing cause, but still. So yes, I mean it's difficult to choose because there are so many other innings as well. But these are some of his best. 2011 World Cup was incredible against Pakistan. That 85. It's as a batsman, I feel it's very difficult to continue batting with that same mindset when
Absolutely.
you're getting dropped. Like when you're getting dropped, it shakes your confidence. Like, oh, I've got a life. Then another catch dropped, I've got a life. So it changes your mindset. But he just battled on through that to get that 85, which was.
And I think he was the man of the match in that game,
Yes, and
if I'm not
against
wrong.
Australia as well, he got 50 odd. But the way he was playing Mitchell Johnson, who was
Yeah,
at his
absolutely.
peak at that time, that was superb. So yes, 1998 second inning 100 against Australia in that Test match where we were trailing by 90 or 100 runs, and the way he took the attack to Shane Warne, round the wicket and hitting those sixes and fours, that was incredible. So yes, we can go on about today's video. I'm not worried about the timing because it's very difficult to summarize Sachin's career in half an hour. So yeah. So the last point, Pranam, we have always been fans of Sachin Tendulkar. So whenever someone asks me who is your favorite batsman, so I tell him, okay, apart from Sachin Tendulkar, then we can talk about the rest. So that is so he's more than a cricketer. I feel he's an emotion. Like he has carried Indian cricket's hopes, for so many years, especially when we did not have such a strong team in the 90s. But like as people famously say, like used to switch the television off, when Sachin got out. That is true. Like I myself, I did not switch off because I was always hopeful that we might win. So I used to watch till the end. But in my mind, I knew that we are not winning this match. So how what is it for you? Like what is Sachin Tendulkar for you?
Abhishek, I think Sachin is the only player in the world. You take any sport for whom students from schools and colleges they have bunked their classes. Then the corporate people they have stopped working. They have gone in their cafeteria just to enjoy Sachin's batting. Millions have prayed for him. Millions have done fast for him. So I think he is the only player in this world. You take any sport, and no other player in any of the sport has got such fame. He actually is not just a player for us. He is an emotion. We call him the god of cricket in India. So I just clearly remember a poster. Cricket is my religion and Tendulkar is my god. This was written on one of the
Yes,
posters.
yes,
And
yes. I
yes,
remember.
fans like you and me definitely endorse that poster. So I think he was indeed a god, and I do hope that he creates many such Sachin Tendulkars for us, for India in future.
And you have even modeled your batting technique based on
Yeah,
Sachin's technique. So
absolutely.
I tried to do that as well when I was younger, but then I realized that it was not suitable for me because I'm not as I'm taller. As I got taller, it was difficult, and of course, nobody can be Sachin. But that time, as kids, I used to at least do that. Like whenever a good batsman, emerged, like Rahul Dravid emerged, so you have a stance like Rahul
Yeah.
Dravid. Then Kevin Peterson came, then you try to bat like him. Then AB de Villiers, then Virat Kohli. So I kept changing, but then I realized, like when I saw my own videos, that actually I was batting the same. So yes, it's been a great chat. Wishing Sachin Tendulkar a happy 49th birthday, entering the 50th year of his life, and may he have a long and successful life. We hope that he stays connected to the game, which is very important. Like we would like to hear his thoughts. Now he's with the Mumbai Indians, so it's good to hear some pitch side interviews sometimes when he's speaking about, and he's with these youngsters. Very interesting to see him, chat with Dewald Davis, for example, who's a very talented
Yeah.
upcoming cricketer from South Africa. So yes, all these things. It's fun to see Sachin's interviews and sometimes his innings whenever we have time. I do keep watching some videos on YouTube of Sachin's inning.
Yeah, same here, Abhishek. And the last thing we would say is happy birthday, Sachin.
Yes, wishing
It's
him
been
a very
it's
very
yeah,
happy birthday. And also, I'd like to tell our viewers that do come back to us with your feedback as well. Like, which is your favorite innings or with top five favorite innings from Test cricket, One Day cricket? Which is your favorite wicket taken by Sachin Tendulkar? So do comment on the videos. I'll be putting it on Facebook as well. So do comment on Facebook. Even you can get back to me or Pranav on WhatsApp, like just messages, because it's always a pleasure to discuss Sachin Tendulkar. We can go on forever, but we have to stop somewhere. So is taking your leave. Do watch sports 24/7 for more interesting cricket and other sports related videos. Thank you for joining me, Pranav. It's been a pleasure.
thank you, Abhishek.